Eddie Munson, the metal head, the dungeon master, the hero who shredded Master of Puppets while demobats swarmed around him. His death in Stranger Things Season 4 was one of the most heartbreaking moments in the entire series. But here's the question that's been haunting fans since that finale. What if Eddie isn't really dead? I know what you're thinking. We saw him die. Dustin held him as he took his last breath. But this is Stranger Things. This is a show where Hopper survived a Russian prison, where Eleven came back from the void, where the rules of life and death don't apply the same way they do in our world. So today, we're diving deep into every theory, every clue, and every reason why Eddie Munson might just make his return in Season 5. Let's start by breaking down what actually happened when Eddie died. He was in the Upside Down. Not Hawkins. Not the real world. The Upside Down. A dimension we still barely understand. Eddie was attacked by demobats, yes. He bled out, yes. But here's what's interesting. We never saw his body after that moment. Think about it. Dustin left Eddie's body in the Upside Down. When the gates started closing and Hawkins was falling apart, there was no funeral, no burial, no body recovered. In storytelling, especially in a show like Stranger Things, when you don't see a body properly dealt with, that's intentional. The Duffer Brothers are master storytellers. They know exactly what they're doing. Compare this to Bob's death in Season 2. We saw the Demogorgon tear him apart. We saw Joyce's reaction. We got closure. Or Barb. We found her body in the upside-down pool. We got closure. But Eddie? His body is still there. In that cursed dimension. And that's where things get interesting. The Upside Down doesn't follow the normal rules of life and death. We've seen this over and over again. When Will was trapped there in Season 1, he should have died within days. But he survived for a week. Breathing the toxic air. Dodging the Demogorgon. Something about that place kept him alive. Then there's Vecna himself. Henry Creel. Number 1. When Eleven banished him to the Upside Down, he didn't die. Instead, he transformed. He merged with the dimension. He became something more powerful. Something monstrous. If the Upside Down could do that to Henry Creel, what could it do to someone who died there? Here's the theory. Eddie's body, left in the Upside Down, could be transforming. Not into a mindless creature like the Demogorgon, but into something connected to Vecna. Something that still has Eddie's consciousness, but twisted by the dark dimension's influence. Think about it. Eddie died a hero. He died fighting. That kind of energy, that kind of spirit, the Upside Down might not let that just disappear. Let's talk about Vecna's plan. In Season 4, we learned he's been orchestrating everything. The Mind Flayer. The Demogorgons. All of it. But his real goal is to merge the Upside Down with Hawkins completely. To break down the barrier between dimensions. And for that, he needs power. He needs soldiers. He needs someone who understands Hawkins from the inside. Eddie Munson knows Hawkins. He knows the people. He knows Dustin, Mike, Lucas, and the entire party. He knows their strengths and their weaknesses. If Vecna could resurrect Eddie and control him, he'd have the perfect weapon. Someone the kids would trust. Someone they'd hesitate to fight. That's psychological warfare at its finest. But here's where it gets even darker. What if Eddie isn't fully under Vecna's control? What if he's fighting it? Imagine a corrupted Eddie, struggling between his human memories and the Upside Down's influence. That internal battle would be devastating to watch and absolutely perfect for Stranger Things emotional storytelling. For the Dungeons & Dragons fans out there, you already know where this is going. The Cass theory. In D&AMP Winking and Laughing lore, Cass was Vecna's most trusted lieutenant. Vecna gave him a powerful sword, and Cass served him loyally. But eventually, Cass betrayed Vecna and tried to destroy him. Their battle was so intense it sent both of them to different dimensions. Sound familiar? Eddie ran the Hellfire Club. He was the dungeon master. He knew D&AMP Winking and Laughing inside and out. The Duffer Brothers have used D&AMP Winking and Laughing lore throughout the entire series to foreshadow major plot points. Will the Wise. Thessal Hydra. Vecna himself. They're not going to introduce the Cass character and not use it. The theory goes like this. Eddie returns as Vecna's reluctant servant. Maybe Vecna gives him powers. Maybe he's part vampire, part human, like Cass in the game. But Eddie retains enough of his humanity to eventually turn against Vecna. In the final battle of Season 5, Eddie could be the one who delivers the killing blow to Vecna, redeeming himself and completing his hero's journey. Now let's look at what the Duffer Brothers and the cast have actually said. In interviews after Season 4, the Duffers were very careful about Eddie. They called his death a hero's sacrifice. But they never said it was permanent. They never said, Eddie's story is over. That's unusual for them. They're usually very definitive about character deaths. Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie, has been equally cryptic. In multiple interviews, he said he'd love to return to Stranger Things. He's talked about how much he loved the character and the fans. But when directly asked if Eddie's dead, he gives vague answers. Well, you saw what happened, or I guess we'll have to wait and see. That's not the response of an actor whose character is definitively gone. Then there's the fan reaction. Eddie became one of the most beloved characters in Stranger Things history after just one season. The Duffer Brothers know this. Netflix knows this. The amount of Eddie merchandise, fan art, and social media buzz has been insane. From a business perspective alone, bringing Eddie back makes sense. He's a goldmine of audience engagement. So how would this actually happen in Season 5? Let's map out a possible scenario. The season opens with our heroes dealing with the aftermath of Season 4. Hawkins is in chaos. The Upside Down is bleeding into the real world. And then Dustin starts having visions. Dreams of Eddie. Calling for help. The party initially thinks it's trauma. Grief. But the visions get stronger. More specific. Eddie is showing Dustin something important. A weakness in Vecna's plan. Or maybe a warning about what's coming. This leads them back to the Upside Down. Back to where Eddie died. And there he is. Changed. Darker. Maybe with red glowing eyes like Vecna's victims. Maybe with demo bat wings. Maybe something even more terrifying. But underneath all that corruption, Eddie's still in there. Fighting. And the emotional core of the season becomes saving Eddie while also saving Hawkins. Can they bring him back from the darkness? Or will they have to say goodbye to him all over again? Here's my honest take. Will Eddie return in Stranger Things Season 5? I think yes. The evidence is too strong. The cast theory fits too perfectly. The Duffer Brothers' comments are too vague. And emotionally, Eddie's story feels unfinished. But here's the catch. I don't think we're getting the Eddie we knew. If he comes back, he'll be changed. Twisted. A tragic figure caught between two worlds. And that might be even more heartbreaking than his original death. But it would also be incredibly powerful storytelling. The hero who sacrificed everything, forced to fight one more battle. This time, not just for Hawkins, but for his own soul. Season 5 is confirmed to be the final season. The Duffer Brothers have said they're going all out. Every character who can return will return. Every loose end will be tied up. And Eddie Munson's fate is one of the biggest loose ends in the entire series. His body is still in the Upside Down. And in Stranger Things, that's never a coincidence. What do you think? Will Eddie return? How would you want to see his story end? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that subscribe button. We've got more Stranger Things theories coming as we get closer to Season 5. Until next time, stay safe out there. And remember, in Hawkins, nothing stays dead for long.